Tech News Weekly is sponsored by Hover.com. Go to gfu.hover.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. FreshBooks. FreshBooks is an easy-to-use online invoicing service that saves you time, gets you paid faster, and makes you look professional. Get started completely for free at FreshBooks.com. And by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook by going to audiblepodcast.com/GFQ.
Starting Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody to Tech News Weekly. This is a show where we wrap up everything that happened in technology. But not everything, but whatever we want to talk about. It's all about me. It's always about what I want. I'm Adrian Zarian. I'm joined by the cackling Suncast. How you doing, Suncast?
Yo.
How's everything?
Going good today. It feels working right, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I got an awful headache as soon as I put this headphone on, so I don't know what's going to go on for the remainder of the show. I may call it quits in 10 minutes. Yeah, it's one of those.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, it's really really bad. I had to go and take an Advil right before we started. But this is a show where we wrap up things that happen in tech for the week. I want to encourage everybody, send us your emails at guysfromqueens@gmail.com. I want to get that out at the start of the show, as I reminded everybody that they could email us. And they could email you and whatever. They could just send emails to whoever, imaginary people. They could complain about things. I want to start the show off with something that I've been complaining about for some time now, and that's Google TV.
Yes.
Google TV is actually this week they started rolling out Google TV 2.0 to many users, to people that are using the Sony, not the Blu-ray, but the Sony TV that it was integrated with.
So now, what version of Android are they throwing on there? Or
I believe it's 3.1.
3.1?
Yeah, they're putting 3.1 on there, which is honeycomb. I mean, it's great. And apparently, I mean, from the things that I've heard about this, it's really going to improve the service. I know many people complain about the service, and many people, it's been lackluster as far as the expectations when this device came out. When it came out, people were really expecting this thing to take over the television set because of its integration with your cable box.
That with everything.
Yeah, but I think this one had the most hope because it's the only one out of these devices, and I'll put, Boxy and Roku and all of them. This is the only one that really does full television integration, meaning if you want to watch something on Netflix using Google TV, you do not need to switch to input 2. This is all connected to one device because your cable TV is actually piggybacking on top of the interface.
Right.
And I think that's what really gave it the hope to many people that this might be the device. Because we've seen devices come out in the past and they never really pick up too much steam because of the fact that they need to switch to another device. I don't think most people want to do that. I mean, you tell me, Suncast, you have this device. You're more likely to use it if you know it's always there.
Well, I think in terms of what you're describing, in my opinion, it's not so much that you have to switch to another input. For me, it's that you have a whole nother remote that you have to use. In the case of my TV, to switch it from the DVD VCR player between the TV and that, I have to use an entirely separate remote because the remote that I normally use is the one that comes with my cable box, my Comcast cable box. So I have to use 2 remotes to switch back and forth between the 2.
I mean, it's a very simple thing that we're discussing here. It's the fact that it's not some high-tech feature. This device piggybacks on top of your cable device, and we've seen this in the past with a lot of devices. Nothing like this, but I'm talking about in the past where it could piggyback on your existing service and your existing cable service. Mm-hmm. So this device had a lot of hope, and when it came out, it kind of fell short because of all the flaws. It's a little sluggish. It doesn't have all the features that people want. Hulu Plus is still not on there. Hulu Plus wasn't on there. It's still not on there. But
that's the thing with Hulu, not Google.
Yeah. But and amongst many other services, I don't think ABC's on there. There's a lot of them that aren't. But with Google Plus, with Google TV 2.0, their new interface, you're going to have the option to download apps. And people are saying, well, now you're going to see a lot of services that you want. Plex is one service that everybody's excited about because it actually does a lot of integration into one app. It's that bridge between your computer and the media on your computer and this device. So a lot of people are excited about that. So you're going to see over-the-air updates to Google TV and I believe Google TV, Sony TVs, I should say that. And the Blu-ray player should be getting it. The Blu-ray player should be getting it this week, from what I know. And then the Logitech devices, which the one I have, the $99 Logitech device, should be getting it this week as well. I don't know if the over-the-air update will be deployed to everybody by this week, so expect the next 2 weeks for people to start getting to roll out on the Logitech devices.
I would be surprised if they did updates for everybody at the same time, because usually when you have a mass market product like that, rollouts of updates like that just don't happen all at the same time to everybody. I mean, case in point is when you see an update for the iPhone from Apple, it never goes smoothly because everybody's trying to do it at the same time.
This one, they're going to do, I guess the Sony TVs are the least on the market. They sold the least compared to the Blu-ray and the Logitech Review set-top box. So they'll get it first. They'll see how it goes, and then they're going to start rolling it out to the other ones. Unfortunately, people are expecting a holiday device to come out this season, and we are not going to see it. We have to wait till 2012. So probably first quarter 2012 they'll release something.
Well,
I don't know, $99.
The question is,
though.
where does the problem lie with the device? Is it strictly a hardware problem, strictly a software problem, a combination of both?
Combination of both.
Where does the problem lie with it not gaining as much success as Google had hoped?
I think it's a combination. I think it's using an Atom processor, and it's not that fast. I mean, the interface is not that fast, and it wasn't that great. So I think it was a combination of both. I think it was a combination of high expectations for this device. A lot of people were imagining this would be this magical first-gen device, and it wasn't. So sorry about that, Suncast. I put the mouse on your face, and it wasn't. So we're gonna see how it goes. I'm excited for it because I have Google TV. I use Google TV almost every day because it's on my TV, and I would like more options when it comes to this device.
Now, do you think? Because you're the expert here, you're the one that actually uses this along with Jess. Is this something that you believe is going to help revitalize the Google TV line of products?
From what I have seen so far, again, I have not used this, but from what I have seen, yes, I think it's gonna really change its image to many people. And the App Store, it just getting the App Store is gonna really increase the popularity of this device. Many people assumed because it was running Android, it was going to have the App Store on there. And you were going to be able to develop applications for the Google TV and have it on Google TV.
I think you need that, but at the same time, Roku already does the whole app thing. So, and you can see where Roku is at the moment. And I just don't think that the whole app thing is going to be as big of a deal as you may think it might be.
It depends. I mean, there are many. I'll give you one thing. I think Plex will be a huge seller for this device. For people to know that they have all their media available on the Google TV, that's one thing it has not done well. We're going to be able to see all our media there. So that's one thing. Another thing is Flash. It has Flash on the phone, on the device, which many of the other ones don't. So we're going to see what happens.
You don't necessarily need it.
No, you don't. You don't. But for me, I use, you know when I use Flash? When I'm watching the shows on the Google TV.
The Google TV.
Yeah,
you're adding the.
I put the.
You're like an old man.
I do. I put the in front of everything. The Google TV.
Twitter.
The Twitters. But that's the Google TV stuff. You want to go into something? I like putting the in front of stuff.
Old man.
The Google TV. The BlackBerry. Do we have any The BlackBerry news?
Actually, we do, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on this as well, because you're a very business person. There's been more articles out there now about CNET and them saying that the management at RIM needs to be washed out completely.
Yeah.
Jim Balsillie and Mike Lazaridis need to go. They need to get out of there because they're holding up the success of RIM at this point.
Now, let me ask you, you've been covering the BlackBerry stuff for a while, and you did a lot of stuff with BlackBerry in the past. What point did people start screaming that management needs to change? Is this something new, or has this been something that's been rumbling for a while?
I would say sometime in 2010, last year, I would say people started thinking, well, we've been patient, we've been waiting, and we still haven't seen the kind of products that we've been wanting from RIM. So maybe it's not necessarily, maybe the problem happens to be all the way at the top with the co-CEOs, and that they both need to go because they're holding up the success of the company as it is right now. They're not able to move forward because both co-CEOs, Jim Balsillie and Mike Lazaridis, are stuck in that 10-year roadmap that they started back in 2000. And so all that stuff that they had planned out is basically out of date now because they planned it 10 years ago.
I mean, let me see if I can pull up the chart here on the feed.
Yeah, they posted some really interesting charts in this CNN article about their stock over the last 10 years. And recently, this past year, you can really see how dramatic the charts are.
Let me see. How do you zoom in? I forgot. There we go. No, it can't. It's not doing it.
Control plus.
Yeah, it's not doing it. Forgot it. I guess
you can see the whole 10-year thing, and I think that's
well,
really
look,
interesting.
I'm looking here. You're looking at November 2001, right? The stock was barely moving.
Yeah, but that you got to realize that's when they were doing BlackBerry pagers.
Yeah, BlackBerry pagers. Then
BlackBerry
there was
was still new.
Yeah, and I was telling you before, I had a very good chance to buy in at that point because I really got into the stock market, and it was between BlackBerry and Nextel, and I thought Nextel was the winning stock, and I did well. I bought Nextel at like $1 something. I ended up selling it at $37 right before they merged with Sprint. But I always kick myself in the butt for not going into BlackBerry because I didn't imagine it would have become such a huge device. But if you look at this chart, and I'm going to pull it up here, they peaked in July of 2008. They were $150 a share.
Yeah.
And now they're at about $18, give or take.
Yeah, the article says that RIM is now below book value and worth less than $10 billion. And I think that's incredible. Really, this chart says it all to me because I think the peak of RIM and BlackBerry was 2007, 2009, and maybe a little bit into 2010. But at that point, people had saw the storm. The storm was pretty much a flop. The iPhone was there, and the iPhone was a lot more polished in terms of a touch device.
Well,
and
the
Android also come in.
Well, the iPhone really shook the business, shook the smartphone business, because what was competing with them at the time? It was BlackBerry, and it was Windows Mobile, and it was the Palm Trio. Oh, yeah,
and I think out of those three, I think BlackBerry would be the king of those devices.
Absolutely. This is the same thing that's going on with Netflix. Reed Hastings is responsible for the company. He's the CEO, and he's making all these changes.
I don't think they're there yet, though. The same way that RIM is.
No, but it's a blunder. I mean, this is a major blunder on BlackBerry's management side for not involving.
Yeah, and they've been faltering for the last 3 years, I think.
Yeah,
for the last 3 years since 2008, people have been like, okay, well, things are starting to get rocky, and they just, as you can see from that chart, have really gone downhill.
Well, and I'll tell you something, and I'm going to play devil's advocate. One reason is that, they haven't been so fast to evolve the operating system is because they have so much enterprise support they need to give, and they can't change that fast, and I understand that, but many people's perception towards BlackBerry has also shifted, and it's not a good perception. A lot of people are looking at them as the older operating system, the not-so-cool operating system, and I understand it's enterprise, and enterprise is not cool, but many of these people are using it for their everyday, as their everyday phones. So now with every device having Exchange support and decent email clients, I think Android is doing a good job with email. I think the iPhone is still not there with email, but it still does enterprise support. It does Exchange support. A lot of people don't need to go with BlackBerry, and many people are not going with BlackBerry.
They don't need the enterprise type of stuff that RIM offers with the BlackBerry.
I mean, it's a very niche market, and I understand that, but They were very slow to evolve, and they were very slow to change their
They
operating
still
system.
are, and I think
they
that's
still
the
are,
problem is that a lot of us have been waiting for them to show some concern to consumer and the consumer side of things, but all we've seen is more doubling on the enterprise type of stuff, and that just it's like, well, that's enough about. We've made up our mind. You're fixated on this enterprise side of things. You have absolutely no interest in the consumer side of phones. So I think consumers are pretty much done with RIM. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Two questions actually.
Sure.
One is, do you think the co-CEOs Mike Lazaridis and Jim Balsillie need to leave? And secondly, do you think RIM should be bought out?
I always no. I don't think they should be bought out, but I think it's always a bad move when you have co-CEOs. And it's a strange move because now it's a struggle. Unless both are always on the same page, you're gonna have a very difficult time at getting things complete and getting things to be the way they should be. A lot of politics gets involved. I don't know if that's the right move, but what's their Hail Mary pass at this point? We saw HP took that with.
Well, they're betting on the QNX superphones.
Yeah,
that's their Hail Mary right there, and that's still probably a year away.
Yeah, it's going to be a slow transition. I hope. I don't think it's going to be another Palm. And we've compared them to Palm, and we've seen a lot of things that are very much like what Palm did, but I don't think they'll become another Palm because of all the enterprise. Because of enterprise and because of all the deals that they have, and because they're extremely saturated in that market. So I don't think they'll be Palm, but I think it'll be a slower death if they don't evolve quicker.
Yeah, I would agree with that because when you do talk about their stuff in the enterprise world, I think they're second to none.
Yeah.
I mean, their email and their enterprise controls you just can't match that on any other platform. Even today, nobody offers because it's like the Windows group policy kind of stuff, but it's for phones, and you just don't see that with any other platform. But at the same time, they're so focused on enterprise that there's absolutely zero interest from consumers.
Well, I know
with this QNX superphone stuff. Let's look at it this way: they're trying to push out the BlackBerry Playbook OS 2.0, and they've even delayed that now, so they can't even get an update to an operating system that they already have out.
I don't know. It's a very interesting market they got to get, and they have to go over to consumer. I understand that, and they need to keep the reviewers happy, and they need to keep just everybody happy. And it's going to be very difficult for them to do. I'm curious to see how this QNX stuff is going to work with their new operating system. And we're gonna get a preview of the new one in the Playbook 2.0, which I think we did see some examples of it.
We saw some stuff at their developer conference the other month, but they didn't show a whole lot. And I don't think that promise for consumers is going to be living up to their expectations. I mean, really, when you look at it, stuff that they're talking about for the QNX superphones that are supposedly coming out down the line, that's the kind of stuff they need today. If they were to debut something like that worked, that was as polished as the iPhone or Android as it is right now, I think they could be back on top, or at least back in the game, if they were having the success with QNX superphones today. Problem is that they aren't anywhere near, I don't think, with their QNX and BBX stuff. And that I don't know even if there's going to be anything until late next year, third quarter maybe, that we'll see anything from RIM in terms of QNX superphones. Yeah. And that to me is what's really, really hurting them with consumers right now, is that there's interest in those QNX superphones, but it's so far away, and the development and the polishness and just everything that you would expect from their QNX superphones, it just isn't there, and they need it today.
One interesting, you had something for the under 45 crowd, and most of them are carrying smartphones now. And I'll tell you,
that was a pretty interesting stat.
So this is the stat: 43% is Android, 28% is iOS, 18% is BlackBerry BlackBerry RIM, 7% is Windows Mobile. Now, that 7%, I assume, is also counting.
I thought that was a little weird. They
It's
say
also
Windows
counting
mobile.
Windows Phone. I assume it's combined. And other, so I don't know what other would be. Other would be, I guess, Nokia and Palm and WebOS, and I don't know who else would be.
Whatever else is considered a smartphone these days, I guess.
I'm curious to see what this stat was a year and a half ago. I know many people that have BlackBerries, and they're consumers. They're not enterprise users. They're nothing like that, and they use BlackBerries. And now they're going over. They're leaving BlackBerry, and it's a split thing. It's between Android and the iPhone.
Oh, big time.
I don't think the Android number is an accurate number, and the reason why I say this is because there are so many Android phones on the market. Everybody's manufacturing an Android phone. With RIM is the only one that putting these phones out. You can't buy a Samsung with BlackBerry OS on there.
Yeah, it's interesting in one sense where you have Android, and it's from several different manufacturers, because Android is actually an operating system, but RIM has the BlackBerry operating system, but they also create devices. But unlike Apple and the iPhone, they manufacture different platforms and styles and devices, not just one single device like the iPhone. So it's kind of a cross between Apple and Android when it comes to BlackBerry.
If you could buy a phone right now, what would it be?
You know what? Since I got my iPod Touch and I've been using that a little while, I'm actually kind of liking it, and I might be interested in an iPhone. I don't know about Android. Going back to this whole survey with most people under 45 carrying a smartphone now, my parents, who are obviously in their 50s now have smartphones themselves. And they just got their Androids a few months ago, and I've been using that for a while. But I've seen pros and cons to both of them, really, and there's not a perfect cross between both devices. You have trade-offs between both of them, so you can't say one is better than the other. But if I had to go with one, I think it would be the iPhone.
Yeah. See, I think many people are doing that. And now that with the availability on Sprint, more and more people are going to jump over there. I would love to get those numbers next quarter about how Sprint is doing with this phone.
Yeah. That'll be really interesting to see if that's really helped their bottom line.
I would not be surprised if they didn't sell as many as they thought, because a lot of people are loyal to Android now on Sprint. So we'll find out. We'll see what happens with that. But it's a very interesting phone. 57% feature phone, 43% smartphone. This is also the same stat. I don't know. Do many people still don't need a smartphone? You know, and I was thinking about this the other day. Do I necessarily need a smartphone? And I really don't.
No, I don't think most people do.
I have an iPod Touch, and I have everything on there. I work from home, so I don't need to leave. I don't really travel much.
I think that's the key right there, is that both you and we're home a lot, so we don't necessarily need a smartphone that has all this capability that would mimic what a computer can do at home.
Yeah, I think most people don't need it, but they're getting it anyway. So I found that to be a very interesting stat. Google plans to offer paid TV service. Now, this is getting very interesting. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. The web giant is considering getting into the TV service business. As previously, they announced high-speed internet service for Kansas City, and I believe, where was the other place they offered it?
Oh gosh,
it was Kansas City, one of them. The Wall Street Journal says, citing that people briefed in the company plans for Google to be reportedly hiring cable TV executives, Jeremy Stern, to lead talks with media companies such as Disney and Time Warner. Very interesting. You know, they want content, and we just saw that YouTube has launched original content deals with many services. I know our friends at My Damn Channel just signed a deal with them, and they do comedy stuff. They do series of comedy shows. Rob Burnett is leading that company. And even Hulu said it's I can't read today. Wow. Even Google said
take
it's
off
taking
your
itself
headphones
off the market. I know. My head is killing me, actually. That's probably why. they're investing $100 million in original content programming. So they're looking to do something. I don't know if necessarily the cable business is the right move for Google to get into. What do you think, Suncast? Is this something that they should get into? I mean, I know they're running those Google Fiber lines that are going to be crazy, crazy fast. They're talking about a gigabit of internet speeds in certain areas. It's going to be a large... It's not going to be that easy for them to start covering all these areas. And also the politics of getting into certain cities and towns is going to play a major, major factor in this. Here in New York City, Time Warner Cable pretty much controlled all of the cable internet and the cable
Doesn't that
TV.
annoy you, the politics of it?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. There's only pockets of areas where you could get something other than Time Warner. I know in the Bronx, Comcast has a very small chunk of the Bronx. There's also RCN, which signed deals with a lot of co-ops and apartment buildings. Other than that, it's Time Warner Cable. And the city was not allowing Verizon to come in with their own TV service. It took them years to convince the city to do this. And they finally came in.
And the thing is, that only leads to better prices for consumers.
Yeah, you know what? It didn't really do much. They both raised their prices at the same time. Verizon Fios was very cheap. Yeah, but Verizon Fios was very cheap. I was paying $79 my first year. Now in my third year, I'm paying like $200.
Wow.
So they really jacked up the price. But for Google to get into the game, this is going to be fascinating if they could pull this off.
I think now is definitely a time to look at it, and I think that's just it. It's like all their brainstorming sessions. Somebody has an idea, they start to do the exploring phase of it, and say, "All right, so what would it take? What would we necessarily have to do? How would this work? How much would it cost us? Realistically, can we even make any sort of inroads here?" It's an exploratory phase that I think they're going through right now, and it's in its very beginnings and infancy. And I don't think we would expect to see anything soon, because it's like their gigabit internet network that they're starting up. It's like we still haven't even really seen anything from that.
Well,
yet.
do you remember when they wanted to get into the energy business? And those were the rumors about 2.5 years ago. Yeah, and they have the money to do it. They're just looking for different areas because their primary. I mean, how does Google make money? You know, you got to look at it that way. It's search engines and ads. And they need to come up with some other revenue model because they know that might dry up eventually when other search providers start doing better. I mean, Bing really took a big chunk out of it. Apple to overhaul most products in 2012, reports are claiming. Apple's product line is set for a major overhaul next year. I think this is true, and I think they're all going to go to this unified look. This is my opinion. Again,
what sort of unified look are you talking about?
Of the Air. How the Air, I think they're all going to go to this unified look of the Air and the iPad. I think the iPad has that look to begin with.
That sort of form factor that you're talking about with the Air.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm holding up my iPad. I'm telling you, this headache is awful. It's awful. I cannot even. I'm seeing like dots. That's how bad this headache is.
Wow.
If you see the edges here, they're curved and they get thinner along the edge. I think that's the unified look that Apple is going to go for.
You know what? I don't like that.
You know what? I didn't either. I thought it was weird holding it, going from the first iPad, holding a first gen iPad to the second gen, but it's a lot better. I'll tell you, it looks a lot better.
I'll give you an example. The iPod Touch that I have here is the older generation with the silver back. It's not glass. And to hold it in like a phone position, I think it's very difficult because of it being curved.
Yeah, the new one's even harder. The new
really?
generation. Yeah. I always say that it's a pain. That's why
when you compare it, and I'll give you an example here. This is the iPod Touch that I have. But then you look at my BlackBerry here. It is a lot thicker, but it also has this rubber stuff on it, which I think helps grip it. And this is just
it slides, and I was about to say,
and it's very hard to grip.
That's why I have a rubber rubber cover on mine. So I can hold it better. But it is interesting that they're going to go to this unified look, and that's what they're saying. And this is also my opinion. I think overall, what's going to happen is that the Air is just going to become the MacBook, and the MacBook Pro is also going to get that Air look. They're all going to get that thinned look. Because they can. They pretty much can, right? They're stuffing an i7 in this MacBook Air now. And they killed the MacBook, just the standard, white MacBook. I think eventually they're going to have the MacBook Pro and they're going to have the MacBook, and the Air is going to be just all of them. They're all going to be that thin.
Well, since you're mentioning the MacBook, that's also another story here that I think is worth mentioning is that Apple is thinking about maybe discontinuing the MacBook Pro line.
No, the Mac Pro. The Mac Pro.
Oh, the Mac Pro line.
Yeah, the Mac
Excuse
Pro
me.
line. It doesn't sell. It's extremely overpriced. Nobody wants it, and if you're going to spend that money, you're going to kind of get for less. You could get with it with a screen, and you're going to get the iMac.
I think part of it is that times have changed in the sense that we're looking at more mobile devices now. People are more interested in an iPad or an iPhone versus a $3,000 Mac.
Also, if you read Steve Jobs' book, you'll pick up on a lot about how the design is and how Apple is this company that they're very closed when it comes to you opening this device up and tinkering with it. And the only device right now that they have on the market still, any computer, and I consider all the phones and all of them a computer, is the Mac Pro. You could still open up a Mac Pro because it's a tower. It's a computer.
Right.
It's very expensive. The beginning price for these workstations are about $2,500. And that's compared to a computer you could buy for, $900. They're
So do you
very,
think
very
the only
overpriced.
reason why they're thinking about this is because it's so expensive?
I think they don't sell, and I think this goes totally against their company, development and the direction they're headed.
Why would you get a Mac Pro versus a MacBook?
A Mac Pro, you mean the tower?
Yeah.
Some
do you
people
think most people would just rather have
a laptop than a
a
computer.
laptop versus the tower, or?
I think it's two different people. I think most people now are just buying the MacBook Pros. I think a lot of people, the desktop is starting to get phased out, unfortunately. It's very few people that I know that have a desktop as their everyday computer. They have the iMac, which the iMac is a beautiful machine, and it starts at $11.99, and you're getting a display out of it. The tower, I don't know anybody buying the Mac Pro. It starts off at a quad core, and it finishes off at a 12-core Intel chip, the Xeon chip.
That's crazy, though.
So some people need this. I mean, high-end graphics
We
designers.
could use it.
Yeah, we could definitely use it. I could use it, but it's $5,000. And you're not getting too much for the price. I mean, you're paying for all chip, and you're paying because it's an Apple, but many people will not buy this. So it's smart of them to phase it out. Most people don't need it. And if you look at it, it's not streamlined with anything else on the market that they have. Everything else.
No, and I don't think they market it very much either.
They don't,
I
because
mean,
they don't need to.
Today, it's all about the iPhone, the iPad, and the MacBooks.
They do have a server. I mean, they killed their server lines, too, a while ago. So I think they're just going for that one look. And
I
don't be
think that
surprised.
would be a very
if,
good thing to have some sort of unified look, and especially with the lines that they have these days, because they have very branded product lines. The iPhone, the iPad, the MacBook Air.
And
those are very branded products that they have.
And I'll tell you, when they went to this unibody look, they kind of blurred the line between their models. They all look the same now. The white MacBook is gone. So the people that bought a MacBook Pro went to go buy a MacBook Pro and didn't consider a regular MacBook. And the people that bought a regular MacBook didn't consider MacBook Pro. Now, the pricing is so the same, where you're going to end up getting a MacBook Pro if you want the higher speed one, and you buy a MacBook Air if you want the lower one. But they don't need that Air name. I think it's just going to be the MacBook and the MacBook Pro, and they're all going to look the same.
I don't think they need the Air name either.
No, they're going to kill the Air name, and I think the Air name has been bad for them.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have this idea that it's
they had some
slower
negative
machine.
publicity with the MacBook Air as well, too.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. It's interesting. I'm curious to see what happens, and that's my Apple news of the week. I don't have anything else to say about them, except for the developers. But I'm gonna skip over that for now. You want to go into one?
Yeah, let's talk about this Gmail app for the iPhone that came out this week and then suddenly disappeared because it had some issues with it. A lot of people were complaining about this. Google released a Gmail app for the iPhone this week, which a lot of users have been wanting for a long, long, long time, because the Gmail app itself will have more Gmail-centric features that a lot of people are accustomed to and would want to use on their iPhone, but don't necessarily get through the standard Mail app on the iPhone.
I absolutely hate Apple's Mail client. I think they do an awful job in Mail. They do an awful job. I absolutely hate it, and I think Android really is.
I haven't used either enough to really say one way or the other.
Android is a lot better. A lot better. So go ahead.
But yeah, this came out to a lot of people's surprise that they were really wanting this, but they quickly found out it didn't really work very well. It had some notification issues, broke notifications, so you couldn't even see if you had new mail in. I think that was the main issue here, and that's why Google decided to pull it, and they're going to work on it some more and try to fix those complaints that they received from having it out for less than a day.
Do you think people are going to actually go over and use the app rather than using a mail client? I'm just curious about that.
That's one of the questions that I've had for a while too, as well. Is yeah, I mean, it's nice that you have an app that does all those things, but at the same time, you have to go to that app when you already have maybe a bunch of emails set up with the mail client. Maybe you have more than one email. Maybe you have more than just Gmail, and you're already using that mail client. Now you got to manage 2 apps basically for email, and that to me is little. Screwy. It's why can't you just have both in the same place, which you can, but it'll be great for those people that want more Gmail centric features for their Gmail account on the iPhone.
Okay. Yeah, I would rather use the Gmail app than the iOS mail client, which I don't like at all. So I'm one of those people that would actually use it.
I may be a little skewed here, but on my BlackBerry, I have both the native mail client. I use that for my ISP email address. I get an email on that. But I also have the Gmail app to set up, and I can use that with my Gmail, which is great because I can also get my contacts that way that I have in Gmail. And I think that's the main reason for me wanting to use the Gmail app. But it also has a lot better style and more features, I think, over the standard BlackBerry native email client. I mean, yeah, it's a good client on the BlackBerry, but compared to Gmail, when you're a Gmail-centric user, I think a Gmail app is a good thing.
Okay. All right. I believe you. No, I think you're right.
I don't have to convince you of anything here, do I?
No, I believe you 100%.
You'll just take everything I say.
Everything you say. You could have just said anything, and I would have believed you at this point. You could just made stuff up.
Well, no, it's like I said. The very big con to this is that you now have basically 2 applications to manage your email with. Yeah. The mail application on the iPhone, and then you have the whole separate Gmail app. And having those 2 separate, I don't think a lot of people necessarily want that. I'd rather have it all in the same place and the same features of the Gmail app. But I know that's not possible.
Leaked Microsoft roadmap reveals Windows 8 and Windows 9 release dates. Very interesting. So I'm going to go down the list and then we'll discuss the story. But September 13th was the Windows 8 developer preview. January 2012, Windows 8 beta. April 2012, RC for Windows 8. June 2012, it's going to become RTM. So that's pretty much the final version in June. And in August, they're saying it's going to be retailed for Windows 8. So this is a quicker roadmap than Windows 7 was, and it's a much more complicated release, and it's a much larger release of the operating system compared to Windows 7 was. I don't know how accurate this is going to be. I know they're dying. They're dying to hit back to school. Yes. And it'll be smart if they hit back to school because they'll probably do these bundle deals buy a Windows 8 computer and you'll get a tablet for $150. They'll do something like that. But I don't know how accurate this is. I don't know when they think this is going to happen. That's a really fast development. I mean, you're talking about less than a year. They're looking to have this thing released.
The quick pace of the release cycle does worry me.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's like, is it going to be another Windows ME, Windows?
Well, listen, unless the other side is unless they dumped a whole lot more developers to this release. And who knows how long they've been working on the release, you know? That also comes into play. So if this is something that they've been working on for a longer time period and they have many more people on the team, it could be they could have a faster release. Now, this is interesting because a roadmap for Windows 9 is also released in this story.
Well, that's a ways away. There's no idea if you can even trust that.
But they're looking to do the beta at CES 2014. So we're talking 2 years. Only 2 years from now, they're looking for the release. And then they're going to see at Mix 2014, they're saying the release candidate, Build 2014 RTM, and November 2014 is the release. November was the release for Windows 7. I don't know if everybody remembers that.
I do.
So the Windows 8 roadmap is very similar to Windows 9 roadmap is very similar to the Windows 7 roadmap, but Windows 8 is kind of pushed along. They're pushing it a little bit more.
Yeah, see, that's the thing with these quicker pace release cycles is that you have to worry about at what cost does it come to the development of the product.
Yeah, they're also saying that
I think everybody does want a faster release cycle. Everybody's fine with that. It's just as long as you can deliver a product that works and people like, that's the big thing there is if you can pull it off, that'll be great. But if you don't, it's going to be a disaster.
Well, Windows 9 will be what Windows 8 is trying to be. I mean, I think we all could agree on that.
Yeah.
It will be the final link between this Metro style UI and the user, and it's going to kind of start phasing
But see, when
Windows
I hear
Classic
you say something
away.
like that,
I know it's very alarming.
it sounds almost like they're doing Windows 8 half-assed.
I don't
You
think
know
they're
what I'm
doing it
saying?
half-assed.
Where it's like, all right, well, why didn't you just do everything I want? Take a couple more years. Windows 7 is still fine. I think we can hold out another 2 years on Windows 7 without any problems. Yeah, you can still continue Windows 8 development on a tablet device. I think that would be perfectly fine. You don't need to necessarily come out with Windows 8 on a desktop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think, see, there's more to this roadmap, and I want to continue. This is a very interesting story, and I actually missed it when I read the notes, so that's why I'm so interested in it. By the way, totally ignore that message of stalling while I get the door. Ignore that. The roadmap surprisingly doesn't end there. If you look further down the line, you'll notice several interesting release dates. Microsoft, for instance, will release IE11 during Mix 2013, Xbox Loop during E3, which is the next version of Xbox. So we're expecting that E3 2013. Xbox Loop, I hope that's the beta name. I hope that's the developing name. I guess 360, and now it's a loop, you're going around in a circle. Windows 9 developer preview at Build 2013, probably September. The beta Windows 9 will be revealed at CES 2013. RC during Mix 2014, and then I went on the rest. And then here's the thing. Final version of Windows 9 mobile will be November 2014.
Windows 9 phone?
Windows 9
or Windows mobile?
It says Windows 9 mobile. Now, I'm assuming it means Windows 9 phone. It could mean anything, actually. That's interesting. Does it mean...
See, it confuses me when people say Windows phone, Windows mobile now.
Well, they're saying...
Windows mobile, to me, doesn't really exist anymore.
Well, they're calling it Windows 9 mobile.
That's weird.
So I don't know what that exactly means. Then the Kinect HP2 launch, which I guess that's the next generation Kinect. Very, very interesting, though. This is a very interesting roadmap, and it'll be very interesting to see if they actually stick to this roadmap and this happens.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is you really have to take this with a grain of salt and not necessarily take it at face value. This is just what could happen, what somebody suggested could happen. Since it's not confirmed, we don't know if it will happen.
Well, this is
confirmed. We don't know if they'll delay part of it.
Well, this is coming from an internal source, apparently. And they're not confirming on who that internal source is.
But it could still change even from that.
Yeah. And there's more to it, actually. There's much more. CES 2012 is going to be Windows 8 and WinStore Beta preview. They're going to show Tango, which is very
I think
soon.
some of it lines up correctly with what we've been hearing
Yeah.
and what they've been talking up for a while now, and what we've been hearing from some people like Paul Thurrott over the last couple
Sure.
of months. I think some of it lines up with what they've been saying, but some of it is just so far ahead that we don't have any inkling of whether or not this could be true or not.
Yeah, I'm going to have fun on Tuesday talking to Paul about this. Because it's a very interesting roadmap, and I'm very curious to see if this thing actually happens. So one thing I'm really glad about is that the next Xbox device will not be called the Xbox 720, as many people on the internet have been
That would be
predicting,
such a stupid name.
or the 540. A lot of people said the Xbox 540. Stupid.
Why would you name it that?
You know what it's going to be,
Just call
right?
it
I mean,
Xbox.
it seems like this they want this universal UI amongst every device, which is a great idea, and it really
Well, not for every device.
I think it is a great idea. I think it's a great idea that they're having this universal UI for everything, because it's going to be tweaked obviously per device, but it saves a lot of time on developing.
Oh, totally.
And it saves a lot of money, so we'll be able to see a lot of updates get rolled out a lot faster, a lot of bug fixes get rolled out a lot faster, and support, because it's all around.
It'll be really interesting once Windows 8 comes out and to see all the development and the new applications that come about with it, because some of the stuff that they're doing with Windows 8 is along the same lines of the QNX superphones that RIM and BlackBerry are talking up. It has some of the same talk with HTML5.
Yeah.
A lot of it is pushing the HTML5 stuff and HTML5 applications.
Yeah. Let's do one more story, and then we'll go into our picks. You want to pick it?
Yeah, I want to talk about this CIA story about them monitoring the Twitter and Facebook. No, I'm doing it. The Twitter and the Facebook.
The Twitters and the Facebooks. Well,
They're
the
saying that
Facebook
they,
is
monitor
appropriate,
5
by the
million
way.
tweets a day.
Do you blame them?
No.
Yeah, I actually was reading about this on another website. I don't know what website you got the story from, but I was reading this on the website, and the comments were ridiculous. Oh my God, Big Brother, they're spying on us. They're looking, and I'm saying,
Invasion of piracy.
And I'm
Privacy,
thinking-
excuse me.
if you're the government, of course. And I'm thinking, I'm like, what are you, stupid? I'm like, then don't. Maybe I'm a little weird about this, but because I think you're responsible for everything you put out on the internet, and you shouldn't blame Facebook,
doomed.
and you shouldn't blame Twitter, and you shouldn't blame any of them for seeing your data, mining your data. I think you're single-handedly the only one responsible for what you're putting out there. And if there is something you don't want anybody to see, or at least one person to see, guess what? Don't put it on the internet. There are going to be people monitoring these things, and it's available to everybody. If I'm the government, I'm the CIA. Of course, I'm going to go to search bomb threat. Of course, I'm going to search blowing up this. Of course, I'm going to search that stuff. If I'm the CIA, even down to school threats and shootings or anything, of course I'm going to do that.
I think we kind of need to look at this a little bit of a different way. They're talking that they're only monitoring 5 million tweets a day. Now they're saying that there's approximately 100 million users on Twitter, and we publish approximately 140 million tweets a day.
Yeah, I guess.
So when you look at 5 million versus 140 million,
It's very small.
that's a very, very, very small percentage.
Now let's play a little bit of conspiracy theory, cloak and dagger stuff. Do you think that's what they are only able to manage per day, or do you think those are select tweets? There's probably select keywords, select hashtags.
I'm sure there are. They're calling these type of people, this team, vengeful librarians, which is an interesting name. But we don't know how they're monitoring this, and then that's the thing: is this something that's done automatically? Are they double checking every tweet? What are they doing with this information? Are they keeping a database of this? Are they tracking it? What are they doing with this information? I think at this point, it's very minuscule compared to how many tweets and information is out there sent every day over Twitter and Facebook. But at what point would this be a concern? How many pieces of information, tweets, and Facebook updates would need to be monitored for people to really, really say, yeah, I don't want this to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, if they were monitoring all 140 million tweets, would that be too much? If they did even half that, say 70 million.
What do you think? Do you think do you think they should be? Is this something that you would be upset about that they're monitoring it?
At this point, no.
They're obviously monitoring select things.
Part of it comes down to the whole privacy. What are they doing with this information? We don't know what they're doing with this information.
And
Are they
why they're
tracking
looking
this?
for
What
it?
are they doing with it? They have a database of all the times you've said bomb.
Don't say bomb. Yeah, I think you're right. I
Well,
think
come on, you're the bomb.
No, I don't think they're looking at that. I think they're looking at threats against the president and the government. I think that's what they're looking for.
That's just one of those things where we do live in an age where we have to be concerned of our privacy, but I think at this point they're a little bit too alarmed over it. It's a little bit too soon to really know what's going on here, and it's not affecting that many people. So until we know more about this, I don't think there's too much concern.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting stuff, though. All right, Suncast. Do you want me to go first? I'll go first for my pick.
Yeah, if you want to go first.
I'll go first for my pick of the week. Let's do something. Let's change our lower third. How about that? There we go. Oh, look at that. Picks of the week. Time for picks of the week. And then I got to go take another aspirin because honestly, my head is just throbbing at this point from this headphone, and everything is echoing in my head. So I'm going to do my best to talk this up. My pick, with Halloween passing, and I'm on this zombie kick, by the way. I have a great book here, The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks, Mel Brooks' son. He also wrote World War Z, which is an unbelievable zombie novel. I'm really into Walking Dead, and I've been doing some zombie stuff. And I found a really cool app. It's called CK Zombie on the iPad, and it's also available on Android. It's available on iOS and Android. I got a little video here. I guess I'll play it here. What do you think?
Sure.
Let's see.
As long as we don't get in trouble.
No, I'm sure they'll be fine with this. I'm positive they'll be fine with this. So here's a little preview, just a little teaser for the video.
Today is just another day. Since the Horde came, we've been lucky to see tomorrow. Came up fast, out of nowhere. Zombies.
So pretty much you shoot zombies, and your missions are to shoot the zombies.
Keep on killing 'em.
Huh.
I'm not a hero.
Who doesn't like killing zombies?
No, it's a very
They
simple.
call me Shooter.
So you're that guy, and then you shoot the zombies. But it's a very simple game, and it's not like a first-person shooter where you're running around, you're shooting things. It doesn't have that level of complex gameplay. So I got it here, playing right here. You're pretty much in a static position, and you're hunting them in a way. The cool thing is you earn points, you level up. They also have specials, so you could actually upgrade your equipment, and you could buy it. So you could buy the cash with actual money. You buy it in the iOS store, or you could buy the gold to upgrade your equipment. They're running a bonus thing, so they're doing bonuses each day. So you get an extra $700 or $500 for each time you play. They also have deals on a lot of the stuff in the store. So certain days are running 20% off, 30% off the merchandise in the store. I actually really like it because it's easy, and I can't play these hard, complex video games anymore. I really can't. I don't have the time to dedicate.
You
and I don't
can't
have
do
the time
Angry
to play.
Birds anymore?
Angry Birds is way too easy for me now. So I don't know. Let me see if I can pull something up here. So I'm starting a mission here. I don't know if you could hear it. I'm just going to hold it up against the screen so you could see it. I think you could see it here. I don't have the other fixed camera on right now. Oh, that's pretty clear. Look at that. It's doing a good job. So
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could see. You're in this static position, and you shoot the zombies. And you have to
Looks
protect the
fun.
girl. Yeah, look. I'm going to shoot a zombie now. Hang on, everybody. Watch me play. Oh, look at that. I just shot a zombie. I shot another zombie. I shot another zombie. Oh, no. They're killing her. Okay, now the girl is dead. I hope you're happy. I hope all of you are happy. Great game. It's called CK Zombie. You could just Google CK Zombie. It's part of a series. I think it's called Combat Kill, which is a series it's under. That's the original. This is the zombie version of the game. Really cool game. I really like it, and I highly recommend it to anybody with an iOS or Android device. And I'm going to sneeze. Oh my God, I'm such a mess today. I'm such a
Bless
mess.
you.
Thank you. Suncast, what's your pick? You could edit that sneeze out.
No, I can just leave it in. All right, so I also have a iOS pick this week.
Oh, look at
my
you.
first one.
Look at you.
What's that?
Look at you.
Yeah, I can do iPhone and iPod applications now, so I'm cool. I'm hip. My pick this week is a application called. Well, you can't see that at all, can you?
No, you can't.
don't know if
What's the name? Maybe I could pull up the website on my screen.
Talkatone.com. The application is called Talkatone. And it's a really cool application that's for the iPad, your iPhone, and your iPod Touch. And you can basically plug that in with your Facebook, your Google Talk, and I think a couple of other accounts that you can do. And you can make phone calls over 3G and Wi-Fi with this thing, including your Google Voice number, which is really interesting. I have a Google Voice phone number, and since it's an iPod Touch, how do you make calls?
Yeah.
Well, I can do it with Talkatone. I can set it up with my Gtalk email address and everything, set it up there. It'll pull in my contacts. It's really cool. And I can actually make calls. I can receive calls as well. One of the things about Google Voice is that it's sometimes difficult to call out, but this makes it really easy to make phone calls. Basically, just open up Talkatone application. You go to the dial pad or your contacts, just click something, and it'll dial out right away with your Google Voice phone number, which is really, really cool. And not a whole lot of applications out there do that. Your only other option would be to do something like SIP Gate.
SIP Gate, and there's a couple of them. I know there's some pay services, but also Skype. You could call out with Skype.
Yes, you can. I really like this because you can do Gtalk and Facebook on this as well.
And it's free.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you want, you can go with the premium version that removes the ads, and it also allows you to have a little bit of a higher audio quality, and it'll also allow you multiple Gtalk accounts. So if you have multiple Gtalk accounts, you can buy the premium version and have use for all of those accounts right there on your iPod Touch, your iPhone, and your iPad, and it works over 3G and Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
that's my pick.
I didn't know it worked on 3G. That's a great pick, actually.
Yeah, it works on 3G.
Yeah, Talkatone. You go to Talkatone.com to get more information, or the App Store. You could download it in the App Store. Great pick, actually.
Thanks.
Great pick. Actually, I had another pick, but I'm going to save that for next week.
I
think
really
people
like
get-
this application because with this iPod Touch, I do want to be able to make phone calls from it, but since an iPod Touch, there's really no way to do it.
Yeah.
But I already have a Google Voice phone number, so this really makes voice calling easy on the iPod Touch.
I was actually considering for my next phone, not actually getting a phone and just getting the MiFi cards from Verizon, the 4G MiFi card, and just walking around my iPod Touch and a MiFi card. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it.
I think you're going to find that annoying after a while.
I'm sure I will, but it was something I was considering because I have no idea what I'm going to get for the next phone.
I mean, if you're
That's
out
a
in
whole
your
separate
car,
problem. Then I
that's
have
where
it.
you're really going to notice that you don't have any sort of connectivity.
No, if I have a MiFi card, no, I'll carry it in my pocket. I could do that.
Yeah,
It's possible.
it wouldn't annoy me.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I encourage everybody, send us your emails at guysfromqueens@gmail.com. Also, check out our streaming site at gfqlive.tv. I know a bunch of people watching on Ustream, Justin TV, and Stickam. We have a live audio stream for the people that don't have enough bandwidth, or they are listening on the go via Stitcher or TuneIn Radio. I'm going to talk about both of those in the coming weeks, actually, for my picks, because they did some major changes. And you can get all the information at gfqnetwork.com on where to listen to us and what to do. We have a great chat room, a great IRC room. I encourage everybody to go in there, chat with us, talk to us at gfqlive.tv. Following the show right now is Behind the Counter with Rich and John, our resident comic book geeks. And we'll see y'all next week on Tech News Weekly. Good night, everybody.